try to jack my bike when they were cutting the lock. I don't know if they followed me or not, but they had a spotter on a sport bike on the corner. So it's pretty scary, like right now, what's going on. You really got to be careful. It's taking, to be honest, it is taking some of the fun out of riding, because I love riding my bike and just parking. You know, now I got a lock. I put 4 locks on it, cover it, and you know, there's a lot of other riders that be like, you know, I'm not fucking doing that. You know, what's the point of riding? And they got a point there. There isn't much point in riding when you have to lock your bike up with 4 locks when you arrive somewhere. But I found a quick way to do it. I keep the cover downstairs, so I don't have to go back upstairs. I have this lock on, you know, when I park at customers, so I don't carry a heavy chain with me. I've seen guys carrying chains on their shoulder. It's a pain in the ass, you know, because I gotta carry tools too. So I'm not gonna do that. That's basically it in a nutshell. I mean, there's just a lot of information to riding here that you need to know, and I don't know everything, so I'm trying to gather information daily that helps me prevent theft, accidents, tickets, you know, all the stuff that you gotta watch out for as a rider, to make it worth it, because I'm working on my bike, you know, I'm doing service calls, and there's other people in New York too, but they don't really like to talk too much about it. There's plenty of people riding bicycles around. You know, for work here in the city. There's a handful riding motorcycle for work, because it's just so difficult. And I'm sure a lot of riders give up. You know, a lot of new riders, when they get set up and stuff, and then all of a sudden their bike gets jacked, they're just like, fuck it, I'm done. You know, like, when I first moved back to Harlem from Manila, and my xr650 got stolen up in Harlem. It was an old xr650. I never expected them to take that. I never thought they would take it. And they did. So what I can tell you is that bike didn't cost me, it didn't hurt me that much when they took that. I mean, it hurt bad, but I didn't have full coverage on it because it was an old 2003 xr650, and I never thought someone would take that. Like, I parked it from you know, like a year in Harlem without anybody touching it. This one night during a concert, there must have been a lot of noise. There was actually police there, like, which was so weird. The one night that I never thought someone would take the bike, they took it. And that was super weird, because that night there were tons of cops around. Like, it didn't make any sense at all that someone would take that bike, because there was a cop standing right on the corner till 10:30 at night that night, which cops don't stand in corners in Harlem till 10:30 at night. But because there was a concert there, they were there. So it's interesting to see, like, what I've learned, like, since moving back from Manila, anything you put in the street, somebody's going to be touching that at night. And I should have known better, because, you know, I had a lock. And then the trick they got me on, this is another trick that I learned, and I've been telling, like, other riders, like I told the guy at my building, if you suddenly come home and the lamppost that you leave your lock on for when you lock your bike, let's say, like, because you don't want to carry it because it's super heavy. If you're carrying the New York forget about it lock, that thing's fucking heavy. And what happened was, I came home, my lock was gone, and I was like, holy shit. And I got home late that night, and I quickly ordered another lock, but it wasn't coming for 3 days. Well, I should have went to a 24-hour Home Depot, got a lock that night, and if anything like that ever happened to me again, I would literally go buy a lock that night, because the night my bike got taken, also I saw a lot of police presence. I said, you know, nobody's gonna jack this tonight. I don't have a lock, because They took my lock. They jacked my lock and then jacked the bike that night. Now, that's a pretty obvious trick. They took the lock knowing that I would come back that night late because they know they're watching. There's people watching me. That's the other thing that I didn't take into account. I said, no, it's a big city. Nobody's watching me. There was somebody watching. So I told my neighbor, I said, if you ever come home and your lock is gone, you get another lock that night, because that means somebody's gonna jack your shit that night. You can be sure of it. That's just how it goes here. So people are pretty crafty here, and you got to be craftier. Like right now, my bike, there's been so many attempts on it, and there's no parking guards for me around, and I'm already paying for parking for my car because I have a bug out vehicle. You know, like I got like a Ford Escape painted military green. It's got the full-size spare on top. You know, when I got a bug out of the city, the last time I bugged out was when the Corona just went full swing. I had to get out of here because there was no way to work anyway. So I bolted out. And I'm paying $150 for my parking, and I can't afford to spend for the bike also, and it's nowhere near close. There's no parking garage close, so that's the end of that story. I'm not going to be parking in the garage. So now I got to lock through a Con Ed street grate in the floor, you know, on the street, which is okay now. Now, during normal times, locking to a street grate would be a big no-no. Like they would come cut your lock and then bill you for the time of cutting the lock. So it's up to you, you know, how you're going to handle stuff. But I had information that helped me to determine what's okay and what's not okay. Like, for example, lane splitting is not legal in New York, but it's tolerated. There are times that they do crackdowns, so you have to watch out. Other riders can try to warn you. You know, you'll see some stuff. You got to keep an eye out. They'll close a highway and purposely, and I haven't seen them do this in years, but they'll close a highway and purposely make it congested so that motorcycles coming along will split. Then they'll just nail every motorcycle coming through. That's one of the tricks. But there's all kinds of things that you just don't know. Like, you first move to a new city, you need help. And I would like to help other riders too moving here, because I have seen